I say this all the time. I've gotten so lucky. When you get to go out there and be with your friends, it's a whole different animal. Once they told me it was him, I was so pumped. Me and Tunis were big on, like, we're here to entertain people. To me, like, you couldn't have wrote it better. Wacker was, like, the first one that I grew up watching. Santell was going there every week because he was doing Discovery Gauntlet. Yeah. One time, they were like, hey, you want to do a Discovery Gauntlet? That, to me, is still my favorite match of my life. The business idea kind of started to come together. That reign, it was so much fun. I was an original unit member. This is an exclusive. I don't think this ever been shared.
Ladies and gentlemen, hosted by Coach C, Chris Sanders, this is Best for Business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business. I'm absolutely pumped for this one. I say it all the time. One of my absolute favorite people in pro wrestling, Big Bacon Brad Hollister. Thank you so much for joining me.
One of your favorites, dude? I don't know about that, man.
I told you before, I was going to shows drawing pictures of you, and then at times I had to shadow you on commentary. So, man, thank you for everything.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me. I've watched a couple episodes. I think you do a great job. I think you're very driven. So, yeah, I was very happy to help join. You've been plugging my channel out a lot, so I want to be able to return the favor.
Well, you've been hooking me up. I've been doing parlays. You're going 9 for 10, so pretty soon we're going to be going 10 for 10 with these.
I'm telling you. I'm trying to make people money.
I'm pumped for this one. Now, for you, I had Hammer Tunis on. He sort of told me the start for pro wrestling, but briefly, how is pro wrestling start for you?
It was weird, man. So I was academically ineligible for sports one year. And it was just mostly because I was just not showing up to class. I was just hanging out with my friends. And so I was like, I got to do something. I can't just sit at home after school every day. I was like 15. So I started looking up pro wrestling schools. And then it was right around the time Antonio Thomas got released from WWE. And he did an interview with this website, Gerwick.net. And after he said that he came up training in Springfield, and every time I looked up a school, everything was chaotic because, you know what I mean, it was the only school that had any kind of online presence. So, because this is 2008, by the way, so I was 15 back in the day, so This is a different time. And I'm not going to be able to just get to Boston every 2 weeks or every a couple days. So I was like, all right, well, Springfield. So I emailed the guy who ran the website. And then he got me in contact with Tom, and then I started training then.
So when you look at Antonio Thomas, for you personally, what do you feel are some of the biggest lessons he taught you?
Just how to adapt, work on the fly. Like that's the easiest way to put it. Yeah. Just be able to kind of adapt to any situation and not really be stuck, and I got to do X, Y, and Z every time I go out there. Just kind of and feeling the crowd and giving the crowd what they want and knowing where you are in the card. I feel like that part gets lost on people. And I get it. Like everyone wants to have the best match, but at the end of the day, if you're match one, be match one. If you're match two, be match two. Like I think that needs to happen more. And he was always really good at instilling that in me.
Now, Hammer Tunis talks about his first match, better than a lot of people's first matches with Antonio Thomas. What was Big Bacon's first match?
Do you count Battle Royals as a match?
It's up to you. What would you count as your first official match?
I would probably say when I wrestled Leary for NCW, it was 2 weeks before my 16th birthday. So I had my first professional wrestling match 3 months into training when I was 15 years old. And looking back at that now, being an adult, what were my parents thinking?
Did they have to sign something at the time or no?
No, I don't even know. And if they did, it was probably something that someone wrote on a napkin. I don't think it was anything too serious. It was the Wild West.
How was the match with Leary?
It was my first match. I don't think it was great, but I probably wasn't. If I watch it back, I would probably cringe. But I'm sure people have had worse first matches. I'd hope people have had worse first matches.
Yeah. What was your first ever interaction with Hammer Tunis to you?
So unbeknownst to me, he was a referee at one of my youth tournaments. My mom has the picture somewhere.
Wow.
But there's a picture of him being a referee at a youth tournament I was wrestling at, because I used to just have like the high school kids rep the tournaments a lot of the times at the youth tournaments. So, but in the pro wrestling world, I left wrestling and I came back for a little bit. And when I came back to it, he was training at the time. So once I found out he was an amateur wrestler, I was just coming off because I brought my grades up,
Yeah, good stuff.
Brought the grades up, so I was able to play sports again. And so I went back to football, went back to amateur wrestling. And then when I was done with that, when I was done with high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to pro wrestling. Ran into Tunis there, found out he was an amateur wrestler. And then I remembered that he coached the Ludlow team that I would wrestle against. And so it was just like me and him got along right away because we just had so much in common. So it was just like, all right, this is my guy who I'm going to be training with now. It's going to be my buddy here.
So when you talk about doing amateur at first, was it hard going from amateur to pro wrestling?
Definitely not like the beginning stuff you learn, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
I feel like maybe psychology wise and not being able to slow down. Like those are kind of like the two parts where it's kind of tough because you always just want to go. But in terms of like, when you first start wrestling, like a lot of things you learn are how to follow the roles, running the rope. So it's all like athletic stuff. And like I came from an athletic background. So like, and especially with the amateur stuff, I've been doing roles since I've been 5 years old. You know what I mean? Like since I've been a little kid. So all that kind of stuff, like I feel like came pretty quick to me. It was like the other stuff, like in terms of psychology, why you're doing what at what times, when to slow down, when to pick up speed, like that. I think was more of a struggle coming from amateur wrestling. But when it came to like the athletic stuff, I feel like that helped, if anything.
Yeah, so I remember when Hammer Tunis was on, he said it before the closers, you guys were a part of, what was it, Team Waters?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
what was your overall reaction finally forming that team with Hammer Tunis? He said you guys had that bond with pro wrestling. Days and nights you'd spend talking and just watching it.
Yeah, well, so we were already hanging out and buddies at that point, and we already wanted to team, but it was just like everywhere where we seemed to work together, because like we only worked at a couple different places together, right? Yeah. It was always like I was working one place, he was working in a different place, and then finally when we worked there, we were put together, so we're like, okay, it's finally like it's gonna happen now. Yeah. And then once we were together there, we're like, all right, now we just got to kind of force our hand and make it happen everywhere we go. So it was really cool when we got to be put together because, like I said, when you get to go out there and be with your friends, it's a whole different animal. Like, not only are you enjoying the work aspect of it, you're having fun. You know what I mean? It's not just fulfillment in terms of a good performance. It's fulfillment in terms of I'm out here with somebody that I enjoy. Like it's something that we're gonna be able to talk about on the way home, it makes it very different in a good way.
I could be wrong. I remember watching not too long ago after Hammer mentioned it. TK does a promo with you, and is that where Big Bacon is born?
I don't know if it's not TK cutting the promo.
Okay, someone says it.
Yeah, it's Ryan Waters.
Okay.
Ryan Waters is the one who drops it. He's going through the list of us because he's the leader of the group, and he's talking about TK. He's like, "Oh, this tall drink of water." Right here, and he's like, then he goes, he's talking about DK's baseball career. Then he goes over to Hammer. He's like, this psychopath, blah blah blah. And then he goes over to me. He's like, this all-American thick cut piece of bacon. And like, I never thought of that as a nickname, but like, I heard it had a pretty decent reaction. And then of course, in my match, because I think we had a match like right after that, I used it, and because it made me laugh, and I knew it was making Tunis laugh. But like I said, when you're out there with your buddies, you're just trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to crack him, and I keep saying it like the old like bacon strips commercials were like, right? So I just keep saying it, and then it was kind of getting over. And then at the time, Netflix and Chill was big, so I made shirts that said Bacon and Chill.
Nice.
And those are by far my best-selling shirts, probably to this day.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm Bacon now. I guess that's how it works.
Nice. So how does it feel eventually the closers get to wrestle? I think it's for Future of Honor, is it?
Yeah.
So what is that like for you?
That was really cool because Ring of Honor at the time was very like, if you didn't do the camp, you weren't getting on. And I did one of the camps. So I was pretty confident that I was getting on, but I was really nervous. I was like, oh, they're just going to tag me with somebody. Because I knew it was going to be a tag match. Like, that was already told to me. But I was like, they're just going to tag me with some random guy. And it's just like, it's probably going to be fine, but it's just going to be like different motives. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go in there trying to shine me up. at that. You know what I mean? Because like,
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
who I would be put with. But if I'm there with my buddy, like I want us both to get an opportunity. I want us both to get signed. So I was like, all right, dude. Like once they told me it was him, I was so pumped because, like I said, he didn't do the camp, so I didn't know if he was going to get it. So once it was me and him, dude, I was to the moon. And then we didn't know if we were supposed to be the good guys or the bad guys that night. So we went up to the guys who wrestled and said, hey, like, the good guys or bad guys? They're like, well, what are you guys? We're like, I don't know. We don't work here. What are you guys? Like, it's way more important what you guys are, not us. Like, no one cares about us here. Like, we're just trying to look good for one night.
Yeah. So what is it like? Your final ever match, the closer versus Waves and Curls, having TK a part of that match. Obviously, Hammer Tunis wrapped up his career, but for you, what did that match mean?
Oh, dude, that was awesome. That was awesome, especially because, like, I didn't know if we were going to get a last one because, you know, I knew it was going to be his last little bit wrestling. So I wanted to wrestle him a little bit. So we were kind of wrestling each other at all these different places for a while. And then I didn't know if we were going to be able to have that last tag match together. So once we ended up getting it together, and then Tunis got it at Brockton, which was awesome because that to me is, even though like PvP is our home and like that's where we kind of grew together, Brockton was just like, it was just a different beast. Like we just had so much fun there. And I feel like, we started around here in Western Mass, but like I feel like we got to the next level there, and like we were able to have fun there and like kind of loosen up a little bit and find ourselves as characters more than as athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to have that last one in Brockton against Waves and Curls, who like we always liked for a long time, like both those guys are great guys, and we always saw ourselves in them because instead of going out there and wanting to do a million things, they want to entertain. Right. Yeah. And that's what me and Tunis were big on. Like, we're here to entertain people. Like, so being able to have it against them, having TK there in Brockton, like, to me, like, you couldn't have wrote it better. Like, that was the perfect send off for us. So I was really happy with it.
Did you know TK was coming to that one?
I didn't know for sure.
Okay.
So he was ghosting people for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, once in a while, like, me and him would talk back and forth. And then he was kind of hinting at it. And I was like, dude, if he shows up, like, that'd be sick. And then when we get there, it was kind of spoiled to me right away. Like, before he even showed up, it was spoiled to me by somebody. So I was just like, oh, well, TK's going to show up. They're like, hey, don't tell Tunis TK's going to be here. I was like, why are you telling me TK's going to be here? I was like, it was a surprise to me, too. I had no idea.
How does Jordyn Rowe become a member of the Closers?
Oh, dude, so really early on when Jordyn Rowe started training, I was coming back from a torn ACL.
Okay.
And I wanted to get in the ring, which usually I'm very, and this is not a good lesson. So any young wrestlers, don't do what I'm doing right now. But I'm not like let me go try it first. Like, I just like to do it, right?
Yeah.
So coming back from torn ACL, I was legit just going to have my first match. And then everyone kept telling me I was an idiot. They're like, you need to get in the ring first. And I was like, all right, whatever, I guess. So I went down to Slick Wagner Brown School. And he was like, oh yeah, he's like, I'll bring a bunch of kids down, blah 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 blah. And then it just ended up being Jordyn Rowe.
Wow.
And I was like, all right. So I worked around with him for a while, and afterwards I'm talking to Slick. I was like, dude, this kid's incredible. I was like, when is he gonna be ready for matches? Like, I never seen him on shows. Like, this kid's like ready to go. He goes, oh, this is his second practice. And I was like, oh, this kid's gonna be special. So once he was kind of doing matches and getting out there, I was like, hey, Tunis, I'm like, closers always work best in threes. Like, when we had TK, like, we had the Freebird rule, it was electric. I was like, we work best in threes. I was like, this kid is an amateur wrestler. I get along great with him. I'm like, he fits in with us personality wise. I'm like, he'll be great. And it didn't work out long term. Jordyn Rowe, I don't know where he's been, but it was a lot of fun while it lasted. I will say that. I'll tell you my favorite memory of the short-lived Jordyn Rowe Closers era. Okay. We're wrestling at a beach show, so of course we're wearing all beach gear. And then the guys on the other team, they kept pulling our pants down. So we go on the outside, we go to tie our pants, and Tunis is our manager, so he goes to tie our pants. And somehow, when we're all huddled together trying to tie our pants up, I don't know how this happened. We end up tying our pants to each other. So we're all kind of stuck in this little circle here. And we're all running around the ring in this little circle of all of our drawstrings tied together of our pants.
Wow. So I want to ask you about something that's pretty unique. You've been a part of, I think, a few, because back for Top Rope. Do you have any stories that stick out doing Wrestle Roulette? One of the most unique concepts in pro wrestling.
So this was actually crazy. So I was on like 2 or 3 Wrestling Roulette shows, but I never did the roulette.
Oh, okay.
I was always in the tag title match.
Okay.
And I always wanted to do it because to me, that's what I do. Like, that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's to me, that's what I love about wrestling.
Santell taught you on the fly, right? Or no?
For the most part, yeah. Like, it was very frowned upon to kind of play it. And I to this day, like, I don't know how much you like go on your podcast, but to this day, dude, like, I'm very like, let's feel it out there.
Nice.
Because again, like, we're here for the people, man. Like, I'm gonna give, like, I want the people to have the best experience. And if I go out there and I plan steak in the back and they want chicken, well, they're only gonna get steak because that's all I plan. But if I go out there with an empty menu, then I can kind of give them what I feel like they want, you know. So this year was the first time I got to do roulette. And I'm an old man now, so I was like, I just want to wrestle once. I was like, I hope I just wrestle once. That's my biggest fear, is wrestling more than one time. And then, of course, I get drawn twice. But honestly, I had a great time. I wouldn't want to change it. The first match was really good. And the second match, we ended up being in the Fatal 4-Way for the title, DJ, Liv, and AG. And it was actually, for a 4-way in the circumstances of the roulette, I don't think it could have went any better than it did. So very happy with that. I was very happy I was able to do one.
Nice.
So shout out.
I love Wrestle Roulette. So I'm quite curious for you. Is there anything that stood out wrestling Jack Swagger?
Dude, he is the largest human being of all time. So, you know, everyone's always like, take the picture. I'm a very anti-take the picture guy.
Yeah.
And that was the one, because it was like, I was lucky enough where I got to wrestle names, but it was kind of like all names of before my era.
Yeah.
So it was cool for me because, like, I knew they were legends and I knew what they did because I like watching older stuff, but it wasn't like I grew up watching them. Where Swagger was like the first one that I grew up watching, and then like the fact that like we kind of became boys during that summer was insane to me. But after the match, I was like, all right, you know what? I love Swagger my whole life. He was an amateur wrestler, so of course, like, he was my favorite when I was a kid. I was like, I want to get a picture with him. So after we had the title match, I won the belt. I said, hey, can we get a picture together? And I didn't post the picture because I look so tiny in it. He is so gigantic. I don't even care at this point.
Put it on,
I'll send you the picture. You can put it on. I look like the smallest human being of all time, and I refused to post it for the longest time because I was like, I don't even look like the champion. He should still be the champion. He's so gigantic.
Speaking of Northeast Wrestling, what did it mean to become the NEW champion?
Oh, dude, that was awesome. So the first time I got a shot was when it was the Flip and Cody match.
Okay.
And I didn't ever think I was going to be the NEW champ because at that point, like, I always felt like it was going to go to like the bigger names coming in, or it'd be like the young up and coming guys. And I just, like, I don't know if I just had the ego or enough of an ego to think I was a young up and coming guy. I was like, oh, I'm just here to wrestle, you know, like, have some fun, you know, hopefully have a couple good matches, do my thing. And it was just like, I just started picking up momentum, and it was just, I was getting really good matches with, you know, guys that, again, I grew up watching, and it was kind of just all avalanching and kind of building up. And out of nowhere, it was just like I was going for the belt all the time against Swagger, like the whole summer, because he was holding the belt. So every time there was like a baseball stadium show or whatever, it was like I was going against him. And then one time we were going at Bethany, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, at baseball stadiums, you get a lot of casual WWE fans, so of course they like Swagger more. I was like, at Bethany, I'm like, they might like me more. I was like, I don't know if they will, but they might. Like, I was like, I got a shot here. So that day, when, you know, finding out, and then you get there, the whole crowd, it was, I thought, like, best case it would be 50-50, and it was like probably legit like 90-10 for the crowd for me. So I was just like, yo, this is the craziest night of my life. And then Flip was my buddy for a while, and then he left, and then he came back like for that moment. So, like, dude, that was another one. I say this all the time. I've gotten so lucky, dude. I got so lucky in my career. I don't know if it's right place, right time, or just whatever it is, man. I just feel like I've just been so lucky in terms of the opportunities that I've gotten, or just the memories and moments I've gotten. So I feel very good about, like, how everything has been going and has gone so far.
Well, I tell you all the time, I was a fan, so the fact that I can call you a friend, I can shout at you on commentary, man, thank you for everything, because I feel lucky, man, too.
Oh, dude, it's one of those things, man. Like, I don't think you get to step back enough in wrestling and get to see it, where I'm such a fan still. Like, not even like not in terms of I don't like watch it every week, but I have so much like little kid in me, right? And I have so much nostalgia. I'm a big nostalgia guy. So like anytime like I've gotten an opportunity to like wrestle or like even be in a locker room with someone I grew up watching, I'm like, to me, I sit back in those moments and I'm like, yeah, this is dope. Like, this is sick. Like, I can't believe like Kurt Angle's right over here. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like that was the craziest one for
Northeast had a lot of them too.
Oh, dude, there was like 2 summers in a row where it was just like everyone that I grew up watching, or you know what I mean, or like maybe like I was in high school when they were taking over. Like it was just so crazy that whole summer. It was just I was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah. So speaking of marking out, I remember there's a few moments of Big Bacon's career where I marked out. The first one, I'm curious how your opportunity came to be. I remember watching it for a while, the Discovery Gauntlet. How does Big Bacon get his opportunity against Thomas Santell?
So that was a weird one because Santell was going there every week because he was doing the Discovery Gauntlet, and like things were going really well with Northeast, and it was kind of like my ego started to grow then. So I was like, I don't want to go to a show I'm not wrestling at. I'm like, what are we doing here? So then I went to one, and it was just so electric. It was, and like no pun intended, it was at Electric Days, but it was so awesome. It was just a different environment that I ever been in wrestling wise, because everything I was doing was like gymnasiums and like it was just more open space. So like being at like a crammed in tight bar, it was like I was like, yo, this is like a fight pit type environment. I was like, this is sick. And then so I just kept going with Tom just over and over, and I would start helping out with the ring, and like then it just ended up being like one time they were like, hey, you want to do the Discovery Gauntlet this week? I was like, absolutely. Like this is kind of what I've been waiting for. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was against him, like someone I trained with, and then that led to other opportunities there, and then long term and led to a lot of opportunities with Beyond and Wrestling Open. So like, yeah, crazy how like little things work like that.
When you talk about Wrestling Open, what does Wrestling Open mean to you?
Oh, dude, Wrestling Open to me, especially when I was at a point where I didn't even know if I was going to wrestle again, right? Like I came back from the torn ACL really fast, and COVID happened. So like I feel like I blew my whole comeback, right? Like I came back just for the world to shut down, and then during COVID, like I got a raise in my job, and I started doing well, and I started saving money, and I started gaining weight, and I was like, you know what? I'm like just chill. Like life is nice right now.
Wow.
So I did like a couple like different things, like wrestling things, and like to me it was like I wasn't telling anyone, and I would still to this day, if I ever retire, like no one's ever gonna know about it.
It's crazy.
But it's gonna be like it was one of those things where I was just like, all right, I did a couple more matches, and I'm good. And then I was asked to come back into Wrestling Open, and I would see like a lot of stuff on Twitter about it, a lot of the buzz it was getting. And at the time I was like, I don't really know. I was like, let me just get back in a little bit of shape, and like I'll kind of see like how I'm feeling. I got back into shape, and then it was supposed to be me with Alec Price, and then I knew like Price was kind of like really hot at the time, and he used to always go to the NECW shows way back in the day when I was like the young champion, and he used to be like one of the young kids at the school like helping out. And I always liked him. I always thought he was a good kid. So I was like, all right, like I'll come back, and like maybe I'll just do the program with him, and then I'll wrap it up. Like it'll be cool to go out like at a cool like a a place with some buzz.
Yeah.
And then I just got hooked again. Nice. And then I got into shape, and then I became the champ. And then like it was just one of those things where it's like one thing went after another, went after another. And I was like, all right, well, wrestling sucked me back in, I guess. I guess I'm fully back into this.
I could be wrong. I might have been before the champ. What was it like wrestling Tom Lawlor? Because he's another one of that style, sort of, the amateur sort of.
Yeah, that was really cool because I'm also a huge MMA mark, as you know, with the betting show and all that. So I was always the biggest Tough fan. And he has probably the coolest Ultimate Fighter moment of all time, where the guy's like, guy's pissed drunk. He's like, oh, I've never been knocked out in my life. No one could knock me out. And Tom's like, can I punch you? The guy's like, yeah, whatever, go ahead. Tom punches him, knocks him out cold for like 5 minutes. So I was just pumped that I got to wrestle like a guy that I've watched a clip of a billion times in my life. And then you get to meet him. He's the coolest, funniest dude of all time. So I had a lot of fun in that match. I was really happy that I got to wrestle Tom Lawlor.
What was it like for you personally to be a part of the finals for the Wrestling Open title tournament? I remember packed place. It's not like for a show you had all names. It was you and Ichiban. So to have that place packed for you, you guys put in that work.
Yeah, man, that to me is still my favorite match of my life.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm very big on moments more than like matches. Like I'm sure if you watch that match on mute compared to like a bunch of other matches, they're probably very similar,
Yeah.
right? But it's just one of those things where it's like the crowd was just so into it. Um, Again, I didn't know where I was wrestling 2 months before that,
Yeah.
and it was just like to me, it was just like the okay, I could still do this at a pretty high level. Um, and again, Ichiban, the hard worker,
Yeah.
he's a guy who earned it. And I say all the time, like all my favorite matches are always matches I lose, right?
Yeah.
I don't think any of my top 5 matches, I don't think I've won one of them. But it's just something that like wrestling him, it's like when I would wrestle certain guys, like I have just there's certain people in wrestling you have chemistry with, right?
Mm.
And for me, like there's like a core 5, and the second I locked up with him, I was like, oh, he might be number 1 right away.
Yeah.
He might be number 1 right away. And we've done that match a million times, and I don't think it would ever fail, right?
Nice.
Like there's so many
Yeah.
times you see guys wrestle a bunch, and you're like, all right, I've seen that. I'm sick of it. I don't think me and him would ever fail. I think people would always be excited to see that match.
Nice. So what does it mean to finally become Wrestling Open champion? It was 392 days. That reign was legendary. Alex Shelley, you had so many good defenses.
Yeah, dude. Again, that was crazy because I never thought that was gonna happen. Right.
Yeah.
Like I got to the title tournament, and I remember after the match, I was talking with Brian Malonis, and he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do? You got to do something." Like he's like, "That's a big match." He's like, "You got to follow it up with something." So that's when like kind of like the big business idea kind of started to come together. And then once big business kind of started getting really hot, and I think it was at that point, it was just undeniable.
Yeah.
We came up to Wrestling Open 100. Again, being a big UFC fan, I was like, well, this got to be big like UFC 100. This got to be big.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going to be the main event? And then once I found out it was me and Ichiban, I was like, all right, dude. I was like, what else could it be? I was
Yeah.
like, all right, let's go. I was like, and with the last match getting so much hype afterwards, I knew we had to live up to that. So, but I didn't know what was going to happen, right? I thought it was just going to be us having another good match, and then it ended up being me getting the Wrestling Open title, and then that reign. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and like a lot of people will mention like the Shelley defenses and stuff like that, but to me it was the defenses against Jermaine Marbury. Like those were my favorite matches during that whole run, and I think those were like my first like crop of defenses. But it was just I thought we were just telling such a unique and different and fun story. And then all the matches delivered, and me not knowing him through a hole in the wall, him being so new to wrestling, I didn't know how it was going to go. I was like, at first I'm like, I don't know how this might not be the best start of a title run. But then like it went so perfectly. It went so perfectly. He's a great kid. Love Jermaine. So I was really happy with like those matches were really fun. Anytime I got in there with Bufa, the matches with Clancy, like to me, like that's what I live for in wrestling. Like that's what I have fun doing, where it's like just trying to work with someone to elevate them and try to get them to maybe think about things in a different way,
So when you talk about matches, you say some of your favorites aren't the ones you win. What was it like wrestling Clancy at the Palladium? We talk about you guys put in the work. You had all the defenses. Pedro, Bobby, you wrestled everyone. Clancy earning that opportunity and you guys packing a building like that.
So yeah, that one honestly, like the me and Ichiban finals will always be my favorite match. But if there's a number 2 or number 3, that one's right there, right? And it's again for the moment.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I feel like the crowd kind of knew.
Okay.
This was gonna be the last one. I feel like it was built really well that, this is Fancy's time. He was gonna finally like get his moment.
Yeah.
And we sold out the White Eagle so fast that we had to move up to the Palladium and like you said before with the me and Ichiban match, no names, right?
Yeah.
That's what made that moment so cool. When we're talking about the Northeast shows, those were awesome, right? Being able to wrestle in front of thousands of people, that was sick. But they weren't there for me, right?
Yeah.
They got to see me, but they weren't there for me.
Yeah.
Where that one was cool because I knew like they're here because they know like this is the end of the title reign. Like they know like, you know what I mean? Like it was just a different kind of feeling where it was a good like personal fulfillment of, we did this right. Like this is old school wrestling, like building up a place to you sell out because it's too much, it's too big, it grew too much. Like, and I love old school. So for me, it just reminded me of like old school wrestling where we have to move up to a bigger building because we sold this one out. And it was a very, like, I was very proud of everyone at Wrestling Open, not just me in the title reign. I was everyone at Wrestling Open, because definitely I could not do that on my own, right?
Yeah.
That's proven before. I could not do that on my own. You need a team, and the team we have at Wrestling Open, you could put that roster. I don't care if people are on TV. You could put that roster against any roster in the world. Like, it's unbelievable the amount of talent we have in Worcester and now Rhode Island on twice-a-week basis.
So when I talk about Big Bacon's career, I'm curious for you. I think I have an idea, but how does Big Bacon go to the unit?
Dude, so that I was an original unit member. Do you know this?
For what, wrestling, right?
Yes, dude. I was an original member. So actually, I don't know if this is for sure, but if I look back at old, like, an Instagram text group,
okay,
I'm pretty sure I came up with the name.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I came up with the name. But again,
that's right.
That was like, I just got hurt. COVID happened. So it was just one of those things where I didn't know if I was going to wrestle anymore. So I just stopped kind of like trying to get booked and trying to wrestle places, and they just kept doing it. So, and then being able to come back to it at Chaotic later, I was like, and everyone kept saying, oh, like the newest member of the unit. I'm like, yo, hold up. I'm one of the first members of the unit. Like, what are we talking about? It was me, JT, and Danny when this started. What are we even talking about here?
So when you talk about when Brian Malone has talked to you after that and said you had to capitalize on it, and you talk about big business, what would you say was the original, like, idea behind big business? What were you going for?
Yeah, so it was that conversation exactly. He was like, hey, man, he's like, after that match, and he said it right after too, and I kind of thought he was like blowing smoke a little bit because I don't know, man, I never had a match that got buzzed in my life, you know. So he was like, hey, man, he's like, you got to capitalize on something. He's like, I got to do something big. So I kind of already wanted to do a group, and TJ was always the focal point of the group. So even though like Bricks joined first, when I wanted to do a group, I already had TJ as being like, I want him to be the young guy in the group, because talking about on the fly, one time I was watching him do a practice match, and he just did everything on the fly. I was like, yo, TJ's nasty. I was like, I didn't know TJ was that good. So I was like, yeah, I want to get him in my group. Like, I want to work with him. I want to be able to like help him out, and again, help him see things just in a different way, right? Doesn't mean it's the right way, just in a different way.
Yeah.
And then so I always wanted him, and then I wanted a heavy. And I'll actually tell the story. I'm not going to say the guy's name because I'm not going to bury the poor guy. But originally we had this guy. He was going to be the heavy of Big Business. This is an exclusive. I don't think this ever been shared outside of Big Business and Wrestling Open. And we were going to test him because he had a track record of not showing up all the time.
Okay.
So it was like, all right, you're going to have a match. And if he came to that match, then they were going to tell him that, like, that week, like, okay, we're going to put you in you're going to start a group with Bacon and TJ, blah, blah, blah. He didn't show up. So I was like, all right, well, maybe a different kind of heavy. So we're like kind of going through like big guys. And then there was one that I really liked. And then a couple tag teams or like just like random duos were getting thrown at me. And I just kept saying no. And then the back of my head, it was once that one kid was a no-go. In the back of my head, I always wanted Brick City. Like, I always knew I wanted them, just because I thought they were just so good and they were so underrated, and they're legit big. Like, they're big dudes, and they move so well. But again, I was like, they're another one where I'm like, if I can get my squeaky little voice in their ear, I'm telling you, like, I was like, I know these guys could get next level. And once they were pitched at me, I acted like it was like all the. I was like, oh yeah, maybe. I was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I can see that. But in my head, I was like, yes. I want Brick City. So end up Brick City joined, and then we end up getting TJ along in the group, and then of course much later down the road we got Love Doug in there. But yeah, so at first it was going to be me, TJ, and some random. I won't mention the name. I will not mention the name, but it was going to be me, TJ, and some random big guy. And then once I found out it was Brick City, I was like, oh, we're ready to go. And like, we ordered gear probably like 3 or 4 months. Like, I think I had the Big Business gear when I lost to Ichiban and we didn't form till like 3 months later.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we were ready to go. Once we kind of got the green light that it was going to happen, we were all super excited about it, and we were going to make sure that no one was going to change their mind. Like, we already spent X amount of dollars in gear. You know what I mean? We can't just not do it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was so happy. And those guys, dude, they're all so good. And I like to think that I helped them out at all, but they would have got this good without me. You know what I mean? Like, someone else smart would have been like, hey, I'm going to help these guys out and get these guys better because they're just so talented. I love those guys.
Yeah.
They're all great people. We have so much fun when we're out there together. Like when we're talking about when I was tagging with Tunis, like it reminds me, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Like I get very very similar vibes of anytime I tag with any of them as I did when I tagged with Tunis, because it's like, yeah, we're out there to put on a good show and have a lot of fun, but we're out there to kind of pop each other too and make each other laugh and make sure that we have something come back into the locker room like, yo, you jerk, you try to make me laugh with this. Like, so being able to be with those guys for the last couple of years now has been awesome, dude. Big business is definitely one of the coolest things that I've got to do in my career.
Now, did you give Brick City like the idea for their finish? Because wasn't that the finish you and Hammer used to do?
Yeah, so they used to. I'm always big for finishers out of nowhere, and not like it doesn't have to be like the RKO out of nowhere, right? Just like something that you don't have to set up. Like that's why I hate my finish. Everyone always thinks I have a cool finisher. I hate my finisher because it takes forever to set up.
Yeah.
So they used to always do the belly to back with the elbow off the top.
Yeah.
And they were trying to think of something more impactful, something different. So I'm like throwing ideas, and then just randomly I was like, yo, just take me and Tunis' finisher. Because even at that point, like me and Tunis weren't tagging as much as we were. Like he was still wrestling, but like we're really only tagging in PvP at that point.
Yeah.
So I was just like, dude, just take me and Tunis' finisher. I was like, who cares? I was like, just do it. And dude, they did it once and it looked so devastating because Vic like did it like a driver instead of like a power slam.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
It looked so killer. So I was like, all right, that's your guys' finish now. Like you guys have that one.
When we talk Wrestling Open, I think you're a part of a lot of the major moments. So for you, what does Steel Cage Warfare mean for you? Because that's another big one.
Yeah. Which one? One or two?
One. The first one, setting the tone.
The first one was a special moment, dude. That was a special moment. And again, not to peel it back too much, but going into that match, there was a lot of high tension. Okay. Like I want to say out of the 8 people involved, maybe 7 have been in an argument with one on the other team or one on their team throughout like the month leading into that. So it was like super high tension leading up to it. And then just something on that day, we kept going down and checking the crowd. That was the coolest part about the Eagle because you could kind of peek through the curtain a little bit. So we would go out and we kept checking the crowd, just kept growing and growing and growing. And then it kind of like, there wasn't any moment where anyone said anything, but it just like, it all started flowing and everyone kind of just got on the same page. And I think it was just one of those things where we realized like, all right, no matter what kind of beef we're having throughout, we made a cool moment. This is going to be a cool moment. This is going to be sick. Like this is going to be something we're going to remember for the rest of our lives. So before the match and then after the match, dude, like everyone was on cloud 9 because we just we knew what we were going to do was special. And then we went out there and we executed and the crowd was there for everything. And it was just one of those moments. Like I say this, I think this is why I like losing the most because I'm usually a bad guy.
Yeah.
So when you lose, you get to hear the crowd pop, but you don't have to perform, right? I don't have to hold up a belt. I get to just lay there. That's what I say all the time. That's my favorite feeling in the world. And I'll never forget Steel Cage Warfare. I'm just laying there and I'm just hearing the crowd go nuts after they choke Pedro out. Thanks a lot, Pedro.
Yeah.
After they choke Pedro out. And I'm just laying there. I'm hearing the crowd go nuts. And I was like, dude, I can't believe I was going to quit not that long ago. I was like, what was wrong with me? I was like, this is so sick. Like, what is wrong with me? This is the moments that, like I said, you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
And is it one or two wasn't it like the biggest house of the rest of a weekend?
Yeah, that was number 1.
Nice.
Number 2, I don't know if we did Wrestle.
You might have not, no.
I don't think we did Wrestle that time. But both of them did sell out.
Yeah.
I do know that.
So speaking of marking out for Big Bacon, I remember one year, I forgot which year it was. What was it like for you? I know some wrestlers are iffy about it, but to me it was pretty cool as a kid. What was it like having you in PWI? What was it, back-to-back years?
Yeah. That was random because everyone always tells me you got to send stuff in.
Yeah.
So I had the running joke all the time when like anyone would post about PWI, like what number am I, knowing I was not a number. And then I think it was AG one time where he was like no, it was my first year. What was I my first year? I know it was 377.
18 was 450.
And then 450. Oh yeah, that's what it was, because I was like, I'm gonna start doing a 450. So one time like AG said, I was like, oh, what number am I? As a joke, he's like 450. And then I laugh reacted to or something. And then I messed with him. I was like, wait, are you for real? And he's like, because I was like, that's like a pretty believable number, right? Like it's not like he said like top 10. Like he was like 450. I was like, yeah, there might be a chance I'm 450.
Yeah.
Dude. But he's like, no, for real. They sent me a picture of it. I was like, oh shoot, I'm 450. Wow. I was like, this is crazy. So yeah, it was like when I was wrestling Flip a lot too. So I was like, yo, Flip, can't do any flips against me anymore. He's like, why? I was like, I'm Mr. 450 now, dude. Can't do it anymore.
You ever hit one?
Huh?
You ever hit a 450?
No, I didn't hit no 450. In the magazine, that was it. That was the only time I hit 450 in my life.
How does Big Bacon, whose idea is it you doing commentary? Because you kill it on commentary.
Oh, I appreciate it, dude. That was just one of those things where if I'm not wrestling, like I want to do something, I want to be involved, I want to be there. So I always say that I'm available. And anytime there's been like a commentary opportunity, I kind of been lucky enough to get the nod. And especially too, like I'm beat up. Like I'm no stranger about it. Like I'm not shy about it. I've been doing this since I've been 15. I'm 32, which is not old for life, but doing this for 17 years, 32 feels like 102. So I'm beat up. So anytime I get a time where I could be involved at a wrestling show and I'm not actually wrestling, it's nice at this age. You know what I mean? So I love when I get to do commentary. I have a lot of fun doing it. I don't know how I would do it as a good guy though. I don't know if I would be fun. I don't know if I would have as good of a time, but anytime I get to be the bad guy and kind of rip it up on commentary a little bit, it's a good time.
What was the inspiration originally behind What's Sizzling? I remember going on the school bus listening to it all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I got hurt, man. I got hurt. And it was right before COVID. So it was right before everyone got into making their own podcast. So I got really lucky with that because I remember when we first started, there was a week where we were like top 20. And I was like, there's no way this should be possible. That's why I lived like a really like weird, strange life.
Yeah.
And we were like top 20 one week, and we were like, our listening hours were super high. And I'm like, yo, this is so crazy. And then COVID happened, and I stopped wanting to get guests because, like, what do you talk about? You can't talk about what they're going to do, what they're doing. And then I just kind of started doing it with my buddies. And then the numbers were going down. And I think it was just because, like, everyone had everyone kind of got out of routine, right? Where, like, podcasts are a very routine thing. You don't listen to podcasts randomly. Like, you're like, all right, I'm going to go to bed, put this podcast on. I'm going to go for a drive, put this podcast on. Like, it's never. So when people are out of the routine, I think just like, and the market got super saturated at that point where everyone was making one. So it was like, I think people were doing other things and there was more people making them. And I was like, all right, well, like, let's change up the format of it. Let's change it to a Patreon thing where we do it exclusively. We'll still drop the audio podcast, but I was like, we'll do a video version and we'll do like exclusive, like watch alongs and all that kind of stuff. And I say all the time, like, that saved me during COVID. Everyone talks about how miserable they were during COVID.
Yeah.
I never had more fun in my life than during COVID lockdown. We had such a good time with that group. And even in the Patreon group, I think we only had like 50, 60 people. Yeah. But like, we were just crying at some of the bad wrestling we were watching, some of the bad movies we would watch.
You guys did like drafts too, I remember.
Oh, we would draft all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, we just kept ourselves so occupied where, like I said, dude, I had so much fun. I'm a natural homebody too, so I think that helped. But we had so much fun just doing stupid lists and drafts and different kind of podcasts, where if I was still doing the guest format, I think I would have quit doing the podcast altogether. You know what I mean? I would have just got bored with it. Yeah. But being able to just do it with my buddies, it was kind of like we were all hanging out, you know? Yeah. And it was being able to do it during a time where you couldn't really hang out with people. So, dude, the What's Sizzling was just so fun. And when we were doing the guests, like I thought like doing the interviews were a lot of fun, where a lot of times being on this side of it, you're getting interviewed, or like my actual job, like being a teacher, like I'm always the one kind of facilitating, where you're the interviewer, you're kind of sitting back and listening. And like, I like that role a lot too. So when I was doing the interviews, it was a lot of fun, but it was a different kind of fun when it was just me and my buddies just kind of messing around and having a good time.
What was I can't remember. Why did it stop?
Just COVID stopped, and we just all kind of went back to real life. Like, so for me, like, I always ran after school programs as well as taught. So I'm always at the buildings for like 11 hours a day. And when COVID was happening, I'm still sitting at a computer for 11 hours a day, but it's more like, all right, now I could hang out with my buddies or like play video games and still like live stream and do all this different kind of stuff. So it wasn't so like, oh, I have to be stuck doing this, you know? We're like, when COVID stopped and everything kind of like, I started wrestling again. So like now I'm working out again. I wasn't working out at that point. So that saved a lot of time. Oh, dude, during COVID, I was like 280. Luckily, no one seen me. I was so big. I was having a great time though. Anytime someone gets big, you're like, oh no, they must be going through something tough. Not me. I was getting big, and I was the happiest I ever been in my life. I'll never be happier than when I was just a big fat guy during COVID.
During COVID, I was on cloud nine. First, I was in a Madden franchise with you, and then they asked me to do fantasy football with you.
Dude, locked in. Did I win that one? I know I was on fire.
Maybe it was. It was a JT league, so JT probably won it somehow. So one of the things that I want to ask you about now, I forgot when I started. One day on Twitter, out of the blue, you posted your UFC bets. I think I went to the casino, threw $1 on it, a hit, and I think the next week I just kept asking you, and then I asked Danny Miles, and he just said to ask you. So how long? I mean, obviously you've liked the UFC, but when have you like been on fire like this? Because you're on fire.
Yeah, dude. So I've been sending out pics. So one of my really good friends from like literally since birth. He's the smartest person I ever met in my life, and he created this like gambling algorithm for like baseball and basketball and football. And I was like, "Can you do all the fighting?" He's like, "No, I can't." So then I was like, all right, well, and me and him both love gambling. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to start doing research on the fights, because I always liked the fights and I was like watching it. It was one of those things. I always been a pretty big fight fan. And then during COVID, when it was the only thing in town, I just became obsessed. So I was like, all right, well, like you're sending me these picks every day. I'm like, I'm going to start studying the fights. I'm going to start sending you picks. And this is like early COVID.
And UFC was huge during that.
Yeah, dude. So it's like maybe 2021, 2022. So I just started sending him picks. And dude, I was doing really good all the time. And then I started watching like YouTube people doing fight picks. And I'm like, editing wise, I don't think that would be like super duper tough. And I'm like, you know, John, my producer for everything. I'm gonna just call John my producer in life. John Roy. So I was like, dude, he could do this probably 30 times better than what these are looking like. And then so I always kind of had the bug in my head, because I always like doing the picks just as a hobby. And then once I got confident sending them to my good friend, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start sending them to just people I know that like MMA. And I was like, because it's one of those things. If you tell people to pick something and lose money, you feel bad that they lose money. You know what I mean?
Bro, I go to the casino, I barely watch, but when you tell me who to pick, I've watched it now.
Dude, and it's one of those things. I'm like, I don't want people to lose, so I didn't want to send the picks for a while. And over the past year, I've been doing it, and Sammy Diaz and Danny Miles, they could attest to it. Those are the two that I've been sending the picks to for
Danny
a long,
Miles
long
tells
time.
me all the time.
I've been so on fire for like a year and a half at this point. So I was like, you know what? I kind of always had the bug in the back of my head to do the show. So I was like, you know what? Just send it. I'm like, I don't know how much longer I got in wrestling. Like I said, I know I'm only 32, but the body's beat up, dude. Like I've had surgery on every limb at this point. I just recently hurt my shoulder again. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. So I was like, I want to kind of start picking up different hobbies and just kind of seeing different things that I find enjoyment in. And I naturally always like the fights anyway. So I was like, might as well kind of make it a show and just kind of see if I like it, see if I can grow an audience and see if I can make people money. And first event, we did really well. So, so far we're looking good.
You got to start doing like reels on like TikTok and all that. That's how you're going to get the following more.
Dude, I'm old. Can you help me with reels? You're a young man.
I can help you with reels.
Okay.
All
right.
I'm over here asking, like, one of these days, I forgot where I was with my dad. I think it might have been at the casino. I'm like, all right, let me see if Big Bacon will send me a pick. And this guy sends me the whole list of them. I love it.
Yeah, dude. And like I said, the last 6 events, I've only gotten 2 wrong per event. There was one I got 3, and then there was one I got 1. So it's an average of 2.
Yeah, so like I kind of get mad at you because I put it on like a 10-leg parlay for $1. So like even if I lose $1.
But what do I tell you all the time? Don't do that. That's where they get.
Well, now I listen. You do your parlays now, so we hit one.
Yes, we hit one. The other one, it's already in the can. Oh, it's actually already out there. I already dropped the 318 preview prediction pick. So that one's already out there.
Okay.
We're going to go 2-0. I'm feeling it. I know on the parlay we're going to go 2-0. This card I'm a little bit nervous about, but the parlay, I know for sure we're going to go 2-0.
Pretty soon we're going to have to bet on pro wrestling, Big Bacon. You can send me your bets for that stuff.
Oh, if that's the case, I'm taking dives every match. Don't trust me. Bet against me every time. Every time. I'll bet against me too. I'll lay down there. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Give me a check.
Big Bacon, I say it all the time. You're one of my favorite people in pro wrestling. I want to thank you for joining me. However, I've ended our interview the same now. The day you decide it's all done, you say it soon, but I don't think it's going to happen. But the day you decide it's all done in pro wrestling, what do you want Big Bacon Brad Hollister's legacy in pro wrestling to be?
Just like, honestly, not even the stuff that I did on the come up. It's just more like what I've done with like Open and kind of, and like, and I'm a nobody, right? So
that's no.
But like for real, like in the grand scheme of things, I'm an absolute nobody, right? But I feel like I'm smart with wrestling, right? I'm not smart at a lot of things, but I feel like I'm very smart with wrestling, and just the fact that like I've seen all these young guys at Open get so good so fast, and it makes me like my vets when I was coming up, like other than like Tom, who was awesome, like they didn't want people to grow, right? They kind of wanted people, and I don't even know if it was intentional, but it was just like they weren't helping anyone grow, right? I shouldn't even say that they didn't want us to grow. They weren't helping anyone grow. So being able to like help people grow and help people get to the next level way faster at a way younger age, like that's what I want to be like remembered for anything. I want people to be like, yo, like he came in, he helped out, he helped us learn, and then I want those guys to kind of do that for the next generation, and I want that to keep going, because wrestling's evolving so fast where I feel like certain things are going to get lost, and just to have more younger guys kind of keep certain things a certain way, I feel like is going to help keep the business alive for as long as I'm alive, I hope.
Big Bacon, man, thank you for doing this, and thank you for everything, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. Like I said, man, you're a hardworking kid.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. You've been doing the drives for a while, so being able to see you now in this kind of light, and the fact that you're doing your research, like out of all the podcasts I've done, this is the one where I've gotten like the most like random questions, but in a good way. Like you ever see like the hot ones, right? Like you know, like every person sitting there is like, man, you ask great questions. When you sent me your questions, I was like, dude, these are great questions, right? So dude, you keep up the hard work, you keep doing your thing, and I feel like you're going to be a success.
Thank you, man, for doing this. And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.
Thank you for watching this episode of Best for Business. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, because this is Best for Business.